Hi Doctor, in this presentation video, we are from Group A. We present our moral judgment for the topic, does a gender wage gap in Malaysia represent job discrimination against women? Alright, now I would like to pass to the next presenter to start this presentation.
Hi, my name is ABDUL Michael and my metric number is 263719. And today I will talk to you about my personal opinion about an issue, does a gender wage gap in Malaysia is a discrimination against women. For my personal opinion, in the modern era where people around the world is treated equally, I am agree that gender wage gap in Malaysia represent a job discrimination against women. A gender gap in working situation is often noticeable at the higher executive level, where women are underrepresented in their working, from decision making, policy making, and leadership roles. Since women have to bear the majority of family caretaking, the long hours needed for them in working for higher paid occupation becomes difficult for them and harder for women to succeed in their career. The gender wage gap discrimination also happen because women are less likely to negotiate their salary compared to men, where that making their wages stay lowered. According to the findings made in 2017, according to the Wage and Salary Survey in Malaysia, the percentage of earning of men's salary or wages is 6.6% higher than women in Malaysia. To make a moral standard suggestion for these issues, fortifying and expanding working guidelines, higher minimum wages, more equivalent rights for workers need to be combined effectively to achieve a effective under-evaluation, especially for women's work. To increase and strengthen the participation of working women, several initiatives have been made, such as a campaign to bring awareness to increase women participation in working, just as instructive and preparing programs for women to confront workplace privacy harassment. This can make women to be more comfortable in their working environment. These issues already been overseen by the government in Malaysia. The Malaysian government has made a continuous effort to increase the labor participation of women. This includes the effort to enhance women presentation in decision-making position in the private sector. That's all for me. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Tia In Ang with a metric number of 270027, and right now I will give my moral judgment towards this issue. So personally, I strongly agree that the gender wage gap in Malaysia represents job discriminations against women. So before I further elaborate on my opinion, it is essential to understand what job discrimination is about. So in general, job discrimination occurs when an employer mistreats an applicants or employees based on their race, sexual orientations, their color, gender identity, religions, national origins, and disability. So in my opinion, firstly, why should women be treated differently in terms of wage, as if the task or responsibility being held are equivalent to men? And in some other cases, if a women employee was held more responsible in her job, yet was being paid with a lower wage, would that be fair? So if this was not considered as a type of job discriminations, then what is? So in Malaysia, despite some women being more educated than their male counterparts, the wage disparity still exists. So in 2017, it was found that the average monthly salary for both male and females are 2,957 ringgit and 2,772 ringgit respectively. The differential in wage was due to several factors, such as the type of job, occupations, job promotions, and their likeliness to negotiate for higher salary. So noteworthily, Malaysia has been, working continuously to narrow the wage gap between male and female since 1957. So in 2018, a special budget allocation was made by the government to operate programs, set up structures, and launch initiatives to encourage women to re-enter the workforce and further their professions. So, the salary disparity between men and women is a complicated topic with multiple causes. So, to address this existing issue, the government and related parties should emphasize continuous effort to eliminate discrimination against women, especially in the workplace. So, in my opinion, regardless of what race, sexual orientations, religions, and etc. a person is, everyone should be treated equally. So, in the case of wage gap, employees should be paid according to their performance input, such as their experience, their expertise, their effort and responsibility in the job. So this is aligned with the equity rule of distribution justice, where it suggests that the allocation of outcome such as pay, remunerations and promotion should be fairly allocated. So, in summary, the income disparity between men and women in Malaysia is a form of gender discriminations in the workplace.
My name is Nur ARESSA binti BISALUDIN. My matric number 270231.
I strongly agree that the wage gap in Malaysia represent job was a discrimination against women. This is because discrimination on wage gap has a negative impact on a person that works in a labor. In my opinion, the wage gap must pay fairness, which any workers based on human right must be defended to explain one's right to freedom to do own something fairly and equitability. The wage gap must follow the two categories such as premier labour market also for men and secondary labour market for women. The wage gap within on occupation that skill that they have to contribute in organisation. When have a discrimination against women can impact the economic country. The contribution for women in the national economy is also important to create a more competitive advantage with other countries. Besides that, the wage gap within pay based on experience in operational education and occupation persists were not based gender. This is because the fairness part is a public support for the work. Support from moral standard, I suggest that applying the moral economy value to the wage gap can use the neoclassic theory that explain the marginal productivity such as production, consumption, service based on the relative income that are given by the company. Based on this theory, the wage gap have way different to labor, such as in the labor market was men, occupation need work hard, have to do work at particular of hours and not limit in the labor market, but a foreman have a limit hour working, such as work within operating time have a provide in organization. I found the Aristotle virtue was explained that wisdom humanist making the decision about the justice and must applying practical more daily life. The wage gap should be paid according to the skill and not by the discrimination. Besides that, I find the utilitarianism is a concept that states the policy should be evaluated based on the cost
and benefit they will improve in society. In the labour sector, women limit skill different between men because in the labour sector need a man labour. Nowadays, in the enterprise sector, more women are needed to generate income, state income from the trade sector. For example, I found that Siti Nurhaliza was a success entrepreneurship in Malaysia. Based on the moral value must be fair in a society. In business, justice include the fairness. It is the value that is embraced by different social group and behavior without discrimination. With that, fairness was important in the society to develop engagement with other in industry. The discrimination practice in industry should be avoided to have a positive impact on the country for the economic development in the marketplace in the global. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi doctor, my name is Nur ZAHARAH binti Abdul Aziz, number matric 270928. I will represent my moral judgment according to the issue, does a gender wage gap in Malaysia represent job discrimination against women? According to the issue, my personal opinion, I strongly agree because there are several elements show that wage gap in Malaysia between men and women represent job discrimination against women. There are discrimination against women when it look at the same workload job by men and women holding at the same position, but women's workers are being paid in smaller amount or smaller number than men's workers. Thus, it shows a selective bias element of gender in determining the wage to be paid while the tasks given are the same, and women can also perform the same tasks as a man. To support my personal opinion, there are factual information. The wage gap in Malaysia also due to the agency determination by placing a quota for the high position in the company. For the woman worker only hold 30% and 70% for the men's worker. According to the research by Norazila Zainul Abidin 2016, these are proof to job discrimination against women because if men are more likely to hold the high position, there will be a pay gap in Malaysia. These are cause job discrimination against women because it seems like women's workers are not qualified to hold the high position, and the credibility of women's workers also have been surpassed because the company will be more priority to the men worker for the promotions. Therefore, for the moral standard in this issue, it must be implemented distributive justice in determining the equality and fairness for the provision of wage to all workers regardless of the gender. The structure of this moral standard helps to explain how the various components of plan affect people's life. They are so essential to consider when designing a plan. For example, in this issue, the gap wage between gender in Malaysia. When applying this distributive justice, it helps to bridge the wage gap between men and women. Next is this issue also can be related to the company moral standard, which is the ethic of care in terms of equal distribution wage among the employee without looking to the gender. In Malaysia, the wage gap between men and women shows there are employee discrimination in selecting the workers that tend to men workers. So it's a job discrimination against women. So by applying this ethic of care, the employee will be more focused and care about the woman's worker in terms of their wage. To support moral judgment from my personal opinion, I refer to the up-to-date information because there are many articles that cover this issue in Malaysia to raise an awareness for the job discrimination against women in the wage gap. In 2020, Malaysia Kini article had mentioned that women on average earn 94 cents for every 1 ringgit Malaysia earned by men, according to the 2019 data released by Department Statistics of Malaysia. Although the different gap shows some improvement from the previous year, but it still shows the gender gap wage in Malaysia. Based on Cosmo News, in July 2020, there are statements in the report that shows that the difference between the salary for male and female graduate is quite significant, where on average men receive 5,725 ringgit Malaysia per month, while women only get 4,531 ringgit. Overall, it proves that there are still a gap in wage and job discrimination against women in Malaysia. Even the wage gap equality law have been stated at the National Labour Act, but the implementation are still failed. That's all for me. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Chong Yen Wan. My matrix number is 271266. Today I want to present about the topic is gender wages gap in Malaysia represent job discrimination against women. So for this topic, in my opinion, I'm strongly disagree about gender wages gap in Malaysia represent job discrimination against women. Gender inequality has always been a global issue affecting gender equality in the workplace. Men are more likely to believe that the gender pay gap is not a key issue and companies should be allowed to resolve this gap without government intervention. Many focus group participants believe that difference in salary and wages are most likely due to experience rather than deliberate or other gender-based discrimination. Additional compensation such as bonus set based on subjective performance measure and determined by people may not be without prejudice. For example, male employees who spend more time in the office may be seen as performing better or more engaged than female employees who leave early due to family reasons, even though they are equally productive in an objective measurement. So for this topic, we can insert a moral standard. We can apply the neoclassical theory. Neoclassical economy is a broad proposition that takes power and demand as the driving force behind the product, price, and consumption of product and service. Neoclassical proposition, as is well known, the demanded minimum wages is considering any other price flow. Still, in the case of a downcast bench of the labor demand, while the company will reduce the quantum of labor demand. If the legal wages exceed the required carrying wages, the extent of the reduction depends on wages growth and the wages elasticity of labor demand. But the direction of changes is clear. The wealth effect also depends on the wages elasticity of demand. Some workers will get advanced spending and live more. Other worker that is product value is below the minimum standard will be fired or reduce working hour. Nonetheless, if the amount of labor refer to employment, then the salary income of the person who keep the job must also be included in the salary loss of the employment. So for the conclusion, why I'm strongly disagree for this topic, for this topic, general wages gap in Malaysia represent job discrimination against women is because nowadays whatever men or females are the same. If you have more experience at at the at working, or if you every month have many OT, you get more salary on that month. So every person is the same. If you have many experience and have a more advantage at the place. So that's all for me. Thank you.